You guys are the best. You you guys are the best.
Thanks, buddy. I have your back.
Primarily Critical.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Primarily Critical of Movies at an After Party. This would be it.
If you have not seen this film, we suggest that you do so before consuming any further.
Because we've got spoilers, trivia, and opinions like crazy, and we cannot wait to share them.
Good, bad, new, weird, or gross.
We will pass judgment on them all.
One of these days, you're going to talk yourself to death.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Well,
Yes, you can.
My name is Steve. I'm here with
Phil.
and
Kent. No, John.
today we're talking about talk radio. It's
Yeah.
a 1988 movie.
John?
1988. Yes.
Johnny,
Wow.
you picked it.
I did. Well, like I was saying, I picked this because we had watched The Guilty with Jake Gyllenhaal, and we were talking about movies that really star a single person that person's role is going to make or break the movie. And so everything hinges on that one person because it's a very limited set. You're really putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, with this kind of movie. And I think it was both jobs. I think The Guilty and this, he pulls it off.
Yeah.
It
Did
was-
this
it was-
stand up
it was
to your
insane.
memory? Did you, Kate? I did this work stand up to your memory of watching it before? You guys, have you seen it before, or is this your first time?
Oh no, yeah, I saw this a long time ago, and I loved it back. I saw it very shortly, as a rental when it came out on VHS back in the day.
Me
And,
too. Yeah.
And so I loved it back then, and that was at that time. I mean, the thing that I find watching all these years later is that a shock jock isn't nearly as shocking as they were back in that time. Guys like Howard Stern were just coming on the scene at that time, and so it was kind of a new trend, and it was exciting. It was like, wow, I can't believe these guys just say this stuff, what's on their mind, and was so brutally and vulgar and all that stuff right on the radio for people to listen. It was amazing, and then to see a movie about that and the perils and the dangers that could potentially surround that, it was thrilling in the time. Now, years later, it's not so shocking. I mean, we've been we've watched so much stuff that we're desensitized. This doesn't seem as controversial and as shocking all these years later, but I still loved it, for the nostalgia, and I thought they were great performances as well. So
Yeah. Steve, did you see this before? Or?
I've never seen it before. I never saw it before, but I would. It aged really well. It aged really well.
What's your thoughts on it? Like,
well, okay. We just watched both Talk Radio and Pig. In Talk Radio, the main actor talks the entire movie, and in Pig, the main actor barely speaks at all, and it's just, I was enthralled. I was enthralled by this guy's gift of gab. Is this guy an actual radio guy, or is he an actor?
he's an actor.
He's an actor, and as I understand it, the movie's based on a play he wrote, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it got made into a movie, and he knows it. The principal actor, Eric Bogosian, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Yep, it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Directed by Oliver Stone. He knows this character inside and out, I believe. And yeah, good point, Steve. You go from Pig, Nicolas Cage, barely any dialogue, to this guy, full on. It's like, wow, this guy never really shut up. But at the heart of it all, he strived for the decency of humanity. But he was a pretty
He was arrogant. He was arrogant, right?
asshole of a guy as a person to deal with dealing with him. He was an asshole, but when he got to it, he really had a heart.
Well, I don't know. At some
He
point,
was Volk.
Yeah.
he was biting people's heads off, whether they were nice to him or not. At some point, he kind of got soured on it. That was my impression, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, this movie bugged me. I mean, I watched it like John on VHS. I didn't really get all the ins and outs of it back in the day. Now when I rewatch it, I'm struck by how much worse it is now. Could you imagine, like, if people were having a problem back then with things, like this show would never be on radio, period. But
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's still corners of the world where people want to hear this stuff.
yeah, I'm sure you can get streams or online podcasts and things that are talking stuff like this. But wow, it was crazy to think he just opened up his talk show to any mentally challenged person, racist, and he just expected with no security that he's gonna just carry on like this. And
Well, and did you get, like, as the movie progresses, you start to realize you get the sense that he feels under attack by the world at large out there, right? Like, and all he's got is his wit and his mouth to fight at this crazy thing that feels like, it looks like it's closing in on him. Like he just feels this, the tension of, this guy is stressed out. I mean, you can tell he's just ready to explode, and you see what he deals with, right? And you can tell when he starts, there's times where he's pressing the next button and he says something witty and shuts him down. But what I really think is what you're seeing is a guy that's like, he can't hack it anymore. He's losing it. He's losing it. He's looking, listen, these crazy people out there, the world's full of nuts. And what really climaxes is that when he sees that Kent guy come into the studio and you see the look on his face, he's like, oh my God, like these people are actually really out there. They're real people. And it's kind of like it just fucked him right up, and I think he kind of crossed a line there where he went, he couldn't take it anymore.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
It was very interesting. It was very interesting.
There is a lot of things to unpack, but that final scene where Barry's having his final red and there's a spinning shot, the room spinning with him, he loses his shit, right? Talking about all of it. And then bang, dead silence for like a minute.
Yeah.
It was so like climatic.
Yeah. I guess you stuck with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? It frustrated me, his character. He wanted to be successful. And when he's finally given the chance, all he had to do was play ball for a bit. And then he could get a national audience like Howard Stern kind of guy, success, money, and all the things he wanted. And then he could have said whatever, but he sabotaged himself all over the place.
His ego got in the way.
I don't know what got in the way. And he sacrificed his marriage and on and on. He was not a great guy. He was an awful guy, but and any number of people that called in were gonna gun him down, right? So
yeah, and it ended up being the redneck guy. That was the guy who ended up killing him.
That was one of my questions. Who was the guy? It was the redneck guy.
Yeah, it was. I think he was called the redneck. What was he? Something redneck, anyways. But maybe just
Killer.
Redneck caller.
Redneck caller.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So he was the guy that when Barry started slamming his brother and all that, and calling him a racist and all that, and the guy he warned him. He said, "You're going to get yours," blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But it really seemed like Chet was going to be the killer, right? Because Chet was the guy that sent the rats with the Nazi flag, right? And you thought he wasn't done, But no, it was the redneck color. Yeah.
Could have been anyone, it felt like, right?
Oh yeah, probably.
He really inflamed things.
Yeah.
How-
I think everybody loved to hate him. For the most part, he was a beloved character that everyone, instead of cheering, they were booing, kind of thing.
That's right. And they said the guy you love to love, right? That was the tagline. And I
Yeah.
totally agree with you. They love to hate him. That's exactly what it was. They love to hate him, not love to love him.
I think they might have been having fun with that tagline. I don't know.
Well, okay, there's a lot. This movie is like, there's a lot to talk about. I think I made a lot of notes. I actually made notes on this one, and like at the very end, when he's dead, and they're rolling credits, right? They pan up
Yeah.
from his dead body in the radio tower, right? And then they start hearing callers comment on him after the fact.
Right.
And it's like they love him. At the end of it all, after he gets abused throughout the movie with all sorts of weird crackheads and crackpots and druggies and racists and so on, they love him.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
dead now. He's like a martyr or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's one caller, or one guy that talks. It's the engineer, right? The engineer, his sidekick that sets him up with the calls, takes the calls and screens them, pre-screens them. He goes on to say, he says, I'm paraphrasing now, over together working for 7 years, after 7 years, when you treat him, when you like threaten him, he will fight back like Barry, right? Like when a caller calls in, he says he alludes to his penis, and he says he'll flap it out there, and then they'll cut it off, and then he dies. And basically, in the end, like, he's commenting on the fact that the callers loved him and they cut him off, like they killed him. They basically killed him.
Yeah.
It was such a little.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught that at the end. It's in the credits.
I did catch it. I didn't catch who was saying it though. I know what you're saying. This guy.
That was Stu that was saying that. Stu,
Yeah.
redheaded.
Stu.
Yeah.
It's a great little clip, and I only caught that because you can pause now. You know, if you're in the theater or whatever, you can't follow up these things nowadays. I follow up, I pause and like think about it and try to Google it even. But
well, everybody. I think the idea is everyone likes a streaker, right? But you don't want to know a streaker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good analogy.
I don't want to know that any of my friends are streaking.
hey, how about before we run out of time too much, we get into trivia? But Alec Baldwin's in this, right? And he's the manager of the radio
station manager. Yeah.
Yeah, and holy heck, he looks young. Like and he's he's a suit and he's all that. But he in my mind in the movie, he's a sensible guy. You know, he's like, I worked hard. We have a thing here, and he wanted to make it work, and I was like him. I agreed with him. Like,
I agree with him too. I mean, Barry was impossible to work with. Barry was an asshole, and Barry wanted
sabotaging his own career. And
yeah, he's like a spoiled child. He wants his way. He's like that in his marriage. He was like that in his job. He's like that in everything. He wants his way, and my way or no way. You know, he'll have a tantrum. And we saw him have many tantrums.
Exactly. And so when you see Alec Baldwin's character berate him and tell him in the office in front of people listening in, right? Like, I love that scene. I loved it. He's like giving it to Barry. You're fucking this up. You have everything you ever wanted, and you're screwing it up. I worked hard. I love that scene. That was great. Like, you deserved it. Barry, you deserved it.
Yeah, but he ended up winning over that producer.
At the end, it all tidied up at the end, just as everything was working out. They walk out to the parking lot. Bang, bang, bang,
boom, 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 boom. Yeah. It was a strange last show though, because there was times in it where, like, when Cheryl Ann, his ex-wife, calls in, she says to Alec Baldwin, she says, like, I got to do something. He's dying out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you feel like you get the sense that, oh, the show's going down the tubes. You know, it's this isn't a good thing what's happening out there. And then when he really loses it, you think like, oh man, he's really blown it now. That's kind of the thought I was having. Like he's blown it. He's lost his composure. He's going on this rant. He's talking, I ask you to be sincere, but then I lie to you, you know, and he's kind of like throwing the card. He's broken character. He's thrown all the cards at the table. It's kind of like you thought the guy was going down in flames, or at least I kind of did. But then the real shocker is that great show, Barry, great show. And he ended it with 60 seconds of silence, right? So you really thought, at least I did watching, I really thought he'd just blown this whole thing. And
I told you, John, I think he had a complete breakdown.
yeah.
Did you
And I
remember
thought it was
the
like-
ending, John, from your first?
I
viewing?
didn't. That's the thing. I didn't remember. I knew he got shot. I knew that, but I didn't remember if he got fired. Like, you know, if that show was considered disaster by the
Yeah.
executive or not, right? And so I really was kind of thinking that he was going down in flames, and that was really the 60 seconds of silence. I thought that was the nail in the coffin. Like he's just ensured that he will never be a radio host again.
Well,
60
that's
seconds is a long time. Sorry, go ahead, Phil.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That's the part of the drama. They wanted you to feel like that, right? To feel like, oh, he's done. And then it's kind of cheesy moment where he's like, oh, we're great. We're gonna make this work now. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then sets it up. Here's my thing. I don't know if we get into trivia, but I don't. Is this based on a true story? Like anybody know? Like
I don't know. I mean, it was a play, so
Yeah.
Because
Talk Radio by Eric Bogosian.
The Life and Murder of Alan Berg
so there was a guy.
by Stephen Singular.
Yeah.
I don't know. That still could be a story, though. That may not be. That just as I said, based on Talk Radio by Eric Bogosian and Ted. Boy, I need glasses. Something or other. It's Ted Savinar. Talk to Death: The Life and Murder of Alan Berg.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know who Alan Berg was. Maybe
Maybe he's a
fictional
real guy.
character.
Maybe he's a work of fiction. I don't know. That's a great
Yeah.
question, Phil. And if anyone out there in YouTube land or podcast land wants to comment, please.
Yes, please.
All right. I gotta talk about one last thing before we get into trivia. I gotta.
Okay.
And John, you'll get into this because your hair will remind us of a character. Kent, the dude that comes into the station after calling in, and then and Barry invites him to come down. He does, right? And then he comes to the station. He looks like a Steven Tyler from Aerosmith ripoff, like, but he talks like Spicoli.
Yeah.
And at one point,
Or Beavis or Butthead or whatever.
yeah. And at one point, this is crazy. I had to stop and really take it in. He predicts two-way TV. He predicts a Zoom.
Yeah.
He predicts Skype.
He predicts
Yeah.
this.
He predicts. It's like when you think he's a total stoner or a total like rock dopehead or crack, whatever you think. He's like comes up with some actually pretty like decent.
Yeah.
We get introduced to him though through a really messed up story. He
It's
tells
really messed up, sir.
he
Yes.
tells Barry that his girlfriend OD'd
Yes,
and
that's
she's
the
turning
guy.
blue and she's dying. Right?
So
Yeah.
he's kind of like an awful guy in his own way. That's terrible. Why would you do that? Like,
Well,
what
he said he did it because he figured that he wanted Barry to listen to him, right? I think he said something
Oh.
along those lines. Yeah.
so he's one of like the crazy guys off the street. Like that's like Barry looks at him and saying, "This is crazy. This is over the top. Like,
Yeah,
this guy
yeah.
is insane or something. Like he might have a couple points, and he's a futurist with the TV talking." Two-way TV. I thought that was hilarious. But anyways, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, he was great. I enjoyed him a lot. Yeah, I love the look. I love the look on Barry's face as he looked at Kent. To me, that was priceless. It was like
Oh.
Barry just looked like, oh my God, like this is really the youth of tomorrow. So, it's just
Okay. One more add to the Kent. As
Yeah.
he's leaving, he fakes. Okay, he goes into his jean jacket, and you think he might be pulling out a
pulling
gun.
a gun, but it's a camera.
Yes, and I thought that was brilliant. Oliver Stone, whoever put that in,
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. And it
Was it-
flashes, and he's like, "Oh, yeah." Anyways,
Interesting
enough about
twist.
Kent. Let's move on to
Speaking
trivia.
of, okay, before we go to trivia, I also say, speaking of good
Sure.
scenes, I thought it was
Yeah.
a great scene when the guy, the caller calls in and says, I know you got that package. I know you can see it. What package? I didn't get any package. And he's saying is he sent a bomb to the station.
Yeah.
And there is the package sitting right there on his desk. And everybody's watching as Barry's continuing the show, so they can't do anything. And he's literally opening this thing that could
was
be a
insane.
bomb. It could be a bomb. They could all go boom, right? I
Yes,
thought that was just the tension around that scene was crazy, right? Like you just
agreed. But how the heck? Okay, good point, John. Because I thought about that too, and I made a point. Like, it seemed they alluded to it. It happened before. Like,
yeah.
it's crazy. It's just crazy.
It almost says that there's a part of Barry that's suicidal. He like because he doesn't know 100% certain that isn't a bomb.
Yeah,
He thinks it's not, but he's willing to take that gamble.
Why?
He's
Why?
willing to
Why?
take that chance.
Why?
He doesn't really like himself, Phil. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't like himself.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And I think that's.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't know. Do you think he came around to that at the end of the movie? Do you think he
Yeah.
started liking himself or again or?
How do you? Okay, guys. Ultimately, how do you sustain a show like this where you're just killing yourself to bring this content to the masses? And he's going to go national, but
Yeah.
he didn't have the gas in the tank to keep doing this. I don't
No. I think he took it to you have to be. It seems like it was getting to him, and you have to be that personality type that just you don't give. You don't give a shit, right? It's just.
It didn't have structure to have legs. I don't know. It seemed it was gonna fail because he was gonna implode or explode, whatever you want to put it. But
Yeah. Too
maybe
stressed
not.
out.
But interesting. He dies. Spoiler, not spoiler. We know he gets shot
It's an
up.
old movie, but yeah, we said at the top of the show there's spoilers. All right, so let's get into trivia, shall we?
Yes,
any more
let's.
things?
No.
Eric Bogosian Eric Bogosian's play Talk Radio, in which this film is based, was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize.
Wow.
Woo!
Ooh.
Good for
Prestige.
you, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I think when movies are based on plays that are acted out and fall like from the writer to the stage and then really thought out to the movie screen, you get a solid storyline, like really thought out because it's been performed. And
Yeah,
I
I
get
agree.
the feeling that's what happened here because he was the actor playing it in the theater, I guess, or whatever. So he really
Yes, that's
knows
my
the
understanding.
character.
Yeah.
And he really acts his ass off because I think he really knew that character inside and out. And
Well, yeah. I mean, we've seen other examples that we like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Tim, oh my God, what's his name? Tim Curry. He had done that on stage tons of times before they actually made the movie. And so it shows. I mean, it just really shows that this guy knew how to play that over the top. He'd done it to death, and I agree with this same thing here.
he
Yeah, he
owns
could
the
have done it with
character.
his eyes closed.
He owns the role, right? He's the guy.
Yeah.
And I got that from Eric's performance there for sure, right?
Yeah.
I loved it. Just a side note, I love his funky when you do a flashback to his really long curly hair.
Yeah, yeah.
He's selling suits. And that's I loved it. Anyways, I'll take the next one here. Trivia. According to his autobiography, nevertheless,
That doesn't make sense. You just take out that first part of according to his autobiography. That doesn't.
I think nevertheless is the title of the autobiography.
Yeah.
Okay.
According to his autobiography, nevertheless, Alec Baldwin hated working with Oliver Stone due to his ego and his militant directorial style, describing him as a Machiavellian filmmaker who would throw his own mother down a flight of stairs if it would help him get his project financed, get the shot he wanted, or simply get his way. Ooh, spicy.
Boy, this sounds like some other directors, James Cameron. Doesn't it?
I like it. Spicy. I like it. I like it. Look,
Alec Baldwin, shots fired.
Oh, Steve, go there. Alec Baldwin's under a lot of duress these days.
Well, now didn't he just shoot and kill somebody?
He did, and
yeah,
and it was on a set in a movie he was involved with, and we don't know the full details. It's gonna go to who knows what's gonna happen. But I like Alec Baldwin.
Well, yeah, all those Baldwin brothers are a big part of Hollywood that I've always enjoyed. You know,
Alec has been around for a long time. He was like, I think he was around 30 something when he did this movie, and talk radio. And I don't know. I hope all things work out for them. It was an accident. I don't think Alec was
a really terrible accident. Yeah.
So
people die on movies before.
Yeah, it's just terrible. But he's you know what? Yeah. I don't know what else to say, but Oliver Stone, you know, he's done some good stuff, right?
All the best, Alec. Hope it works out for you.
Yes, we all do. Yeah. Now, just on a side note, and I probably shouldn't make jokes of this, but does this not seem like this can only happen in America, where it's like, oh man, somehow real bullets got into the gun that was supposed to have blanks, right? Because I don't see that happening on most movie sets outside of America. I don't see that being an issue. I mean, there's not. They have so many bullets. Yeah, it's just like, what?
They're bound.
I had those ones in my pocket and I put them in by mistake. I wasn't thinking, you know, like, I don't know how that happens. I really don't. But, you know, anyway, I'm not going to harp on that.
I don't know what to say, but I really don't think Alec Baldwin intended to kill anybody.
No, I certainly don't want to insinuate that. I just find it weird how these actually, this is not the first one that Steve has said. We've heard this happen before. They always seem to happen in the United States. And I just think there might be something to that. I don't understand why real bullets are getting in guns that, you know, why even have real bullets in within a 10-mile radius of the where you're shooting the movie? I don't get it, you know.
Yeah, that's for them to investigate and figure out in the courts, I guess.
Yeah.
But we're wildly off topic.
Yes, sorry.
As we do, as we happen to do things time to time.
Okay, I'll take this next one. The edition of Playboy magazine that John C. McGinley is reading has an interview with director Oliver Stone in it.
Oh, snap.
Now, who was John C. McGinley?
He was the engineer. He was the
Stu.
guy.
So Stu was reading a Playboy.
Stu.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
He's you know, paging through a Playboy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, as one does at work.
See, now if I was the director, I would pick that. And there was some article about why not? You have to pick some Playboy, or you might as well use that one.
I guess so. I liked his character. He was all like, he's taking, this is my ticket to get to the big leagues or whatever. You know, everybody wanted Barry to have his success, including Alec Baldwin's character. You know, and it's you know, we didn't get there in the movie. We didn't. So
no. All right. So when Barry was being introduced to the crowd at the SMU basketball game, you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The MC says that football will be back in the fall. It was during this period that the real SMU football program had received the death penalty from the NCAA for recruiting violations, and the program itself had been forced to shut down operations. So I guess the movie did not predict the outcome of the. This is pretty trivial trivia. That's what
Wow.
I'm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some pretty weird, different trivia.
It's not really movie related, but I'm sure that some basketball enthusiasts will appreciate it.
Oh wow, I don't know what to say about that.
There's nothing.
Yeah,
to
that's a weird little nugget there, man.
That's
Sorry.
probably the
Sorry.
weirdest
I,
piece of
I
trivia.
put together this trivia before I watched the movie.
Oh,
Wow. Interesting.
So sometimes it happens where I'm
Yeah.
so strapped for time that I just want to
Yeah.
make sure I get the cheat sheets done.
Well, no matter what you do, you put together more trivia than I do.
that's true.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But just on that note, when Barry, he's like, he goes up there thinking the crowd's gonna love him, but they
Yeah.
just like immediately shit on him. And
Yeah.
this is Dallas, Texas, which to this day is not very liberal, as far as I know.
No.
They're pretty. We like our
Right.
guns and we eat our meat, and you know that kind of thing. I don't know. That's Texas.
And everything's bigger in Texas.
Everything's bigger in Texas. We
Yeah.
eat our meat and we like our guns. That's my impression of
I'm
Texas.
sure there are some Texans who might take offense to that.
Oh,
I don't know.
I hear.
Oh,
I hear
sure. I there's going to be vegan, bleeding heart liberal Texans for sure.
I hear good things about Austin, Texas. I'd like to go to Austin, Texas. Good
City of music.
scene. Good
Yeah.
music. scene.
Well, gentlemen, is that talk radio?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think
Yeah.
so. I think so.
it's a good old deep dive in 1988.
Now, do you think we say anything so offensive on this show that we're going to walk off the set one day and get shot?
Wow.
Well, one
I
is
hope not.
really hard to find us. It's really hard to
Yes.
find us.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm
I
on my
have-
Saturn right now, so
That's right. And I'm in the studio with Barry right now. So
and two, no, I don't think we say anything that offensive. In
okay.
fact, we're
No.
pretty apologetic, and we
Yeah.
mostly love the movies that we watch. So
This is true.
yeah.
so
we don't-
I really enjoyed watching this.
Okay.
John. This
All right,
movie
because I don't
aged
think
very
we
well.
have security in our budget, so I was just wondering. Yeah.
Oh,
No, we do not. No
okay.
security.
Okay.
No security on the payroll.
Yeah, but thank you, John, for picking this movie. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah. Good.
I'm
Glad you guys liked
super glad I saw it.
Yeah.
That was Talk Radio. We are primarily critical. You are awesome for joining us. Have a great day, and we'll see you very, very soon. We'll keep just making shows, and you keep enjoying them. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, all right, all
Bye-bye.
right. That's another show wrapping up. Have a great day.